Preparing.
Oh yeah, that is cheesy. I love it. So cheesy. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Becoming an Actor. I got to get my microphone in front of me. There we go. That's much better. Now I can hear myself. I'm going to try that again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Becoming an Actor with David Siracusa on Facebook Live at K75 Stunt Academy. Not very exciting in this room, but out there, really, really super cool. So come by and check out the Academy sometime. So, what are we talking about today? Well, first of all, I need you all to, if you could figure it out, call in. But it does not seem like it is possible to figure out how to call in on Facebook Live. So, in that case, just put up a comment. Oh, see now, there we go. Now I can hear a lot better. I got the microphone, I got the headphone, I got the whole thing working here. So now I can hear the reverb is gone, doing much better. So yes, so apparently calling in is very difficult with Facebook Live. Eh, oh well, that's all right. Nobody really called in when I was in the studio over at Tan Talk, so now I guess you won't call in when I'm at the Academy. But you can post your comments. So I'm expecting to see some comments on here. Get on there today, people, and let me know what you're thinking about the show. Um, so, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I keep getting questions about the post production process. And when I say that I'm getting questions about post production, what I'm really talking about is most people want to know, how do you get distribution? The disappointing thing is, if you are listening to this broadcast in order to figure out how to get distribution, I don't know either. I don't know that anyone really knows out there how to do it. You either have the connections or you do not. I think that's a big part of it. Pretty much any business really is about having the connections. And this industry is no different. There are probably some things that you can do to increase your chance for connections. There are some things that you can do to create the connections that you need if you don't have them to start. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is getting those connections. So, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to kind of talk through my process as it occurred with the Uncivil War, America Divided. And I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but it's always been in kind of bits and pieces and talking about what I was going through right at that particular moment. I've never really gone through the entire process from the end of principal production, principal photography, all the way through to where I am right now. And unfortunately, right now, I'm not at the place that I want to be. I'm very big on admitting as to my failures, as to my successes, because you can learn from my failures. I learn from my failures. You can learn from my successes, hopefully. I wouldn't say that I've had a bazillion successes out there, but I've had a couple of things that have gone well. But a lot of it has been the the failures that I've had that hopefully you can learn from, that I can learn from. I definitely plan on doing much, much better with my next movie. And there's a couple of things that I'll kind of talk about as we're going along here that kind of get to that. So let's start with how it went from the beginning. And when I say from the beginning, I mean from the beginning of the end of principal photography. So we started shooting in 2022. It's 2024 now. So it was a year and a half ago, October 31st. It was Halloween of 2022 that we began shooting the Uncivil War, America Divided. And I still have not had the movie in theaters yet. And I have not been able to give anyone their uh, reels yet. I know a lot of people have asked me, can I please get the footage. I want to send it out. I want to put it into my reels. I understand the frustration. I really do. And I didn't understand it before. That was a big thing for me. I didn't, why aren't you giving out the footage? I don't get it. We shot this film 6 months ago, 8 months ago. It's been a year. There are films that I've forgotten about that I shot when I first got into the business because it was a smaller role, or I wasn't that involved in it, or I wasn't emotionally that involved in the film because it was a background or something. And you kind of forget about them after you get a bunch under your belt. Not that I've gotten that many under my belt or anything, but after you start to get a few under the belt, you start to kind of lose track of them, or at least I do anyhow. And so to me, it was like, oh my God, it's been years since I filmed it. Well, of course it hadn't been, because I've only been in the business a couple of years. But to me, it felt like it had been forever. And I know this is a common theme for actors. Like, why am I not getting my reels? I worked for free. One of the things I was promised is I was going to get my material. I was going to get my reels, and I need this so that I can try and get another job. I want to put this out there so people can see what I've done, see my work. So it is frustrating. Why is it that filmmakers don't give that out? Well, obviously it's the same reason, and I was different about this on my film set, but a lot of filmmakers don't put out any pictures. I don't want any behind the scenes information leaked. I don't want you putting anything on Facebook or Instagram. No dialogue shown. If there was blood in a scene, I don't want anyone to see that, because I don't want them to know that you got hurt in the scene or something. To me, it was totally different. My thought process was, as executive producer and producer, was put that information out there. I want people to know that we're working on this film. To me, I'm thinking, okay, if they know my character got bloody or something, like I get a scar at some point in my movie, The Uncivil War, I don't think that gives away the movie, the plot, that it ruins anything. To me, I'm getting more eyeballs on my project, but I get it. That's me. Not everyone is like that. A lot of people do not want you to give that away. Okay, I understand that. So that's the thought process with people saying, I can't give you your reels right now because I have to release the film first. Once I do, and once it's out there, then okay, we can release it because people are seeing it in the theaters, they're seeing it online, so it's out in the public domain. At that point, I can give you your reels. It's really tough. People have been calling me and writing me and asking me, when am I going to get the reels? And I feel bad saying, I'll get them to you as soon as I can. But sometimes there is just nothing that you can do about it because you have to get it released first. Well, getting it released is very, very time consuming and very difficult. So, and I apologize. I should have said, if you're listening to this and you have ideas, you have thoughts, please put them in the comments. If there's something that I'm saying that you think is right, that you want to emphasize, if you think it's wrong, you want to say, no, that's not the way it is, Dave, or this is a better way of doing it or saying it, please reach out. Please put something in the comments so that I know. I do want to know that. I want to know if I'm giving out some information that someone thinks is wrong or could be improved upon. The whole point of this podcast is to get the best information out to everyone. So please let me know that in the comments. Or if you can figure out how to call in. Okay, so, it takes a long time for a film after production ends. So we shot for 18 days. We started October 31st and we finished, I believe, November 17th, 18 days. Yeah, so it would have been after that because we had a couple of days off in between. We didn't shoot straight through for 18 days. So it's been almost a year and a half now. What's been happening during that time? Well, as soon as the film ended, but we still had a lot of work to do. And a lot of people don't think about this. A lot of people, because it's kind of like running a race. You start the race, the first thing and pretty much the only thing I'm thinking about is my next step I have to take. You're not looking down the road to, how much you have to pace yourself. The good runners are. And usually what do those good runners have in common? They've run lots of races before. They're experienced. They're thinking about how much energy do they have to keep in the tank for the kick at the end of the race. How much do they want to pace themselves during the middle of the race versus the start of the race? So there's a lot that goes into it. Playing chess, most people, when they play chess, they think about the first couple of moves. They don't think about the moves down the road. Okay, I'm just going to move this pawn because I have to start the game out, right? They're not thinking about what that pawn's going to do down the road. Well, a lot of people build films in that way. And all they're thinking about at the first part of it is, okay, I've got to get my actors. I've got my script in place. Now I need my actors. Now I need my locations. And they're thinking about one after the next. Step one, step two, step three. Maybe they're thinking about steps 4 and 5, but they're not thinking about 6, 7, and 8. And I know this because I did that. When I did my first film, that was my process. I was thinking about the immediate stuff. I was not thinking about down the road what I needed to worry about. Well, as soon as post-production, as soon as principal photography ended, now we had to get into all that stuff. And I had a small couple of glimpses of it as we were going along. Like my director of photography, Chris McKechnie, was like, hey, who's editing this? Editing? I mean, we're in the middle of shooting, Chris. I'm happy that we're getting this thing shot. I got to worry about editing right now. Oh yeah. And we got to get this footage to the editor, and we've got to get it in the format that they want, and we need to set up this and that so that when they go to it, it's stylized in the way that they want it, so that they can easily move around in the information. And there's a lot you have to go through with this. Okay. And then we started digging into that. It's difficult to be a grandmaster chess player. There's a reason there are very, very few of them in the world, because it's difficult to think 20 moves ahead. If you are in film production, you have to be doing that, though. For me, it came a little bit easier to me, I think, because I've run lots of businesses before. So the first time I was running the film, for me, it was just a matter of understanding who the players are in the business and then how to manage them. So if you haven't run a business before, though, it can be very overwhelming. It can be very scary. It can be very confusing. So I'm not going to say I did it perfect the first time, but that was why I hired a production team to assist me with those things. So as soon as principal photography ended, we had to add in the music. That was something we hadn't thought about in advance, or I had not thought about. I will take that on myself. I did not think about that. I got the composer at that time. I liked our composer. Jared Lane did a fantastic job for us. Great score. But at the end, I realized I really wanted some music with words to it, with lyrics, because what we had at that point was a complete score, but there was no. To me, it felt like it was more the underlying score. We didn't have any songs in there. I just went and I saw a couple of films recently, and I thought that the music really tied together the movie well. And the score of the movie did a great job of tying it together. But at one point, they break into a song. Now, this is a song, Mac the Knife, that I love that song. I love oldies. But because it was a song with lyrics, it really, to me, it really pulled the movie together. The way it was tied into the scene was an unbelievable scene, and the music really added to that. And that was something I felt we were missing. So we went back, and I talked with Jared, and I talked with Chris, and I got a couple of local song singers. I don't know why that was a strange word for me. I got a couple of singers, and they put their songs into the film for me, and I think it really added to the soundtrack. And next time, I'm definitely going to do that. I love the soundtrack that Jared Lane put in there for us, but I felt like it needed some actual songs as well that weren't just acoustical, weren't just instrumental. We needed the lyrics to go with it. That's something that I'm going to focus on more for my next film. Then I talked a little bit about the editor and the director, and it ended up being Chris,
So that made it a lot easier for us because Chris was the DP on the film and then he became the editor as well. So it made it very easy because he knew exactly what he was looking for as he was shooting. And it really helped out that it just kind of flowed into Chris being willing to take that on for us. But, then he also had to connect with the director, Andrew Huff, and they had to work together to do all of the editing afterwards. We had to get all the credits taken care of. That's something that you don't really think about because you have to get the spelling right of every single person that is on that film. You have to make sure you get every person that stepped foot for a second on your film. You have to get in there all the thanks for the people. We shot at a lot of locations here in Pinellas and Hillsborough County. We had to get every location. We had to make sure that they were thanked in the film. You have to go through and make sure that everyone's contracts are fulfilled. If it says that somebody's name, you've got a big name on the film. We had a couple of big names on this film. We had to make sure that Musetta Vander and Daniel Roebuck were properly accredited on the film. You can't just at the end say, okay, yeah, just say that Daniel Roebuck was in the film and Musetta Vander was in the film. No, you have to get that right. You can't just put it any way you want. We had to go back and check with them. They're our principal stars, our main talents. So we had to make sure that, hey, this is what we said we would do in the contract, but do you like it like this? Both of them are such super people. They're like, yeah, Dave, any way you want to do it, that's great. Whatever works for you and Chris and Andy. And we put it together and they looked at it afterwards and said, yeah, fantastic. That's great. But you have to check with that. Bronson Taylor, we had to make sure that everything looked right. Bronson's got 2 N's in his name. I've never spelled Bronson that way before. You got to make sure you get that right. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Once we finished, we had to get everything right for tax incentives. There's a big tax incentive. I've talked about it in Pinellas. It's great. It's fantastic because the state of Florida doesn't do anything for us, but Pinellas County does something for us. They give a very good tax incentive. Right now, it's at 20%. That's fantastic. It varies depending on certain things. And so in order to try and get 20%, there's a lot that you have to do to try and get that. But if you work really hard, you should be able to get the 20% or get close to it. So at the end of it, Cookie Reyes was tasked with making sure all of that stuff was kept up to date, that she had all of the files that we needed, that she kept all of the receipts that she needed in order to do it properly. And that is a monumental effort. She's had to do it for multiple films. It's not an easy process. It takes a lot of time. It takes an individual that is very detail oriented. That is not something that I would ever want to do, not something that I would be able to do because I absolutely hate that stuff. But you have to get it done because if you want to get that tax incentive, and that's huge for a lot of productions, you're usually talking about a substantial amount of the production. You want to make sure you get that done right. So, okay, so after we're done with that, and you look at it again, we're a year and a half after this is done. We are still working on our incentives right now. We're still trying to get that money from Pinellas County because there's a lot that goes into it. It's got to go through a lot of different counties. It's a very difficult process. It's not easy, unfortunately. That's something that I would love to see get streamlined because a year and a half in, we're still potentially 3, 6, 9 months. I don't know, maybe a year away from getting that money. And as I'm about to talk about, I'm still putting out money for the film. I paid for production, but now I'm also paying for post-production, which I'm about to go into right here. So then after we finish everything with the post-production, we go into trying to get distribution, another part of post-production. So now I have to start reaching out to distributors. Now, prior to me starting the movie, everyone said, oh, you get big names like Musetta and Danny in there and you'll have no problem getting distribution. Everybody's looking for content. Oh, since COVID, everybody needs content. Oh my God, you're going to sell this, no problem. You'll make your money back. As soon as we wrapped, everyone's like, oh yeah, distribution. Yeah. You'll be lucky to get your money back. Oh yeah. I mean, you need 10 big names. You need Tom Cruise. It's like, whoa. Before I started shooting, everybody's like, oh yeah, you're gonna get your money. As soon as we were done, I was like, whew, God, you're gonna be so lucky. What a difference. What a difference a production makes. So be wary of people because everyone's excited before you start making the movie. So I know because I was very excited about making the movie. I'm very excited about making the next movie. But everybody's, oh, you're going to get all these great tax incentives. You're going to get the money back. People will work for free for you. You can do it on such a small budget. Oh, you're going to get, people are going to be dying to put this movie on Amazon and Netflix and Hulu, and you're going to get all these offers. Then as soon as it ends, now all of a sudden, people aren't trying to get into the movie. They're not trying to get roles anymore. They're not trying to get on crew. They're not trying to get their name associated with it. Now you're asking them, hey, do you know a distributor I can talk to? Now all of a sudden it's, and it's not because people are trying to, do anything bad to you or anything. People are just excited before it starts. Think about Christmas morning or a birthday before you open the presents. Everyone's excited, and then after you open the presents, like, all the presents are opened. Okay, the excitement dies. It's natural. You get real excited. Presents, yeah, you rip them all open, and then hopefully you're excited to play with them or whatever. But the excitement kind of wanes a little. Same thing with starting a movie. You start doing the movie or shooting the movie. Everybody's very excited during that time. Everybody's posting. It's craziness. Blah blah blah. And then a month or two after, everybody's moved on to their next production. Now you're trying to sell the movie, and now you have a lot less excitement for your movie. And it's tough. It's difficult. This is the really dicey part. I started sending emails out to people. Hello, Amanda. How you doing? I started sending emails out to everyone. Hey, I need distribution. Guess how many people responded? Pretty much no one. Lots of follow-up. I was following up with people. Hey, did you get my email? Hey, are you interested? Blah, blah, blah. The few who did respond. Yeah. Was this the response? No, it wasn't. Yeah, that was kind of the response. I was looking for crickets, but that one says awkward, which, yeah, that was, at least it wasn't this. Yeah, that doesn't even sound like booing to me. But yeah, it basically was indifference. Everyone's like, it's a political kind of film. It's, maybe we want to stay away from it. Maybe it's controversial. I don't know. Things, but no things. I had friends reaching out to people that they knew personally, and they'd take another look at it and they'd say, nah, we're still going to pass. So, very excited. I was sending out emails. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get responses. Number one, you have to wait like 6 weeks to see if anyone's going to respond because nobody's responding back immediately. And then number two, you got to follow up, and then you got to wait another 6 weeks. And then you got to try and reach out to people to say, hey, do you know the owner of this distribution company? Do you know that one? And then you got to push people, and you got to try and pull in favors. You got to call favors in from people and blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, it still really doesn't get you anywhere. So that was very frustrating to me because this is a situation where, again, I go back to you need to make contacts. I don't have the distribution contacts right now. That's one of the areas where my filmmaking world is lacking. I'm great on the actor side for connections now. I'm great on the production side for connections now. I know how to do a production. I have a production company with Cookie, Iris Films. We could produce the hell out of a film for someone. But the problem is on the distribution side, it's difficult. And here's the thing, people will promise you that they can get you distribution. Do not believe that. Do not believe that for a second unless they secure for you distribution before you even begin signing up with them. Do not believe that because everyone promises distribution. That is one thing I am not going to promise anyone that asks me to help them produce a film. I will never promise that. I think that is wrong. Even if you have good connections, you cannot promise someone distribution unless you get a distribution deal in place prior to filming, because it is such a dicey, difficult process to go through. I don't care how many connections you have. Do not believe anyone on that side. Okay. The other thing about distribution is nobody out there has anything good to say about distributors. I have yet to find a single group. I don't care if it's on in a Facebook group, if it's someone I've spoken to. I've had one or two people say, yeah, this group's done well for me. But for the most part, everyone I've spoken to, all distributors are terrible. Now, I find this hard to believe. I can't believe that there is not a distribution company out there that does not have good people at the top of the company that want to help people. The problem is, how do you find them? Okay. And here's the thing. Every restaurant, if you look long enough, you're going to find someone that does not like the restaurant. Someone's going to have a bad review or something bad to say about the restaurant. I don't care how good the restaurant is. There will always be someone who didn't like how the fish came out, or the chicken was cold, or their soup didn't have a spoon when it first was brought to them. Someone will have a complaint. So I understand it. Someone is always going to be unhappy with their distributor. And it's tough because it's a subjective thing. I only made 90% of my money back with this distributor. They scammed me. I know that I should have made 150% of my money. Well, I don't know how you know that. So it may be that there are no good distributors out there. It may be just that it's difficult or near impossible to make your money back. I don't really know. And I haven't been down that road enough to talk intelligently about it. I just know that most people you hear from online say that all distribution companies are terrible. So I have heard, go with FilmHub. FilmHub is great. They will get you onto all of the sites, but then you have people who say, no, even FilmHub now has been corrupted. And again, you're never going to find anyone that everybody loves. So I've tried to reach out to people that I know have gotten films on to different platforms before. Hey, just help me get on to a certain platform. Well, then I get people saying, oh, well, anyone can get you on Amazon, or anyone can get you on here, or anyone can get you on there. This person's just kind of charging you for something that you should be able to do easily. There's probably a lot of electrical services I could do on my own. I'm not going to do them though. I'm going to pay someone to do them. Does that mean that I'm overpaying them for the service? Probably. I probably don't need to pay a distributor to get my film onto certain websites, certain hosting services. I could probably do it myself. The question is, am I going to do it as well as them? And do I want to do it? Sometimes it's worth paying money not to have to do it yourself. I don't do my own lawn. I have someone else do it because to me, it's worth it to pay somebody $100 a month, whatever it is. I don't know what we pay our person, but whatever it is, it's worth it to me not to have to go and mow the lawn a couple of times a month. So is it worth paying someone to put the films online and to make sure that it's done right? Again, I don't know. Would love to hear from someone on that. All right. So distribution companies did not work out for me. All right. My next thought was I'm going to four-wall it. I've talked about this before, but I'm going to go over it again. You think all you're doing here is just giving the theaters some money, they're putting it up, and then you're selling your tickets and you're making your money back. Heck no. Heck no. It is difficult. It is grinding. You have to go and you have to find these theaters. You have to search for independent film theaters online, or you have to look for the big movie theaters that will work with you. You have to constantly follow up with them. Hey, did you get my email? Oh, yeah, I got your email. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We want to work with you. Okay. All right. Well, what's the cost? Some of them are $300 to put your film in there. Some of them are $1,000. Some of them are $150 or $350 an hour. Some of them will let you have a Q&A afterwards. Some of them want you to have a Q&A afterwards. Some of them say you can't have a Q&A after. Some of them say, yeah, you can have a Q&A after, but it's going to cost you extra money to do that. I had... for our premiere, I wanted to put in a step and repeat. It was going to be $650 just for the space where the step and repeat goes. I'm already spending well over $2,000 just to have the theater. And now I got to throw in another $650 just for the space for the step and repeat. Sorry, for those not familiar, the step and repeat is the sign that goes behind people at red carpet affairs when you're taking pictures. To me, honestly, if they had said, yeah, you can put one in there, we would have put one in there. It's not really worth it to me. Everybody's got a cell phone these days. Everybody's going to get pictures. Just, take a picture and put it up online. $650 for the space to put up a step and repeat, to me, not worth it. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. I've had people tell me I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. So I'm used to being told I'm wrong. What time of the day or evening is the movie going to be shown? How many people do you actually have come to your theaters? I was talking with the theater the other day. They said, okay, it's going to be X amount per hour. I said, okay, well, basically the way I'm looking at it, in order to get my money back with your theater, I'm probably going to have to sell 50 tickets on Eventbrite. How many people do you normally have show up to a Sunday matinee? About 10 to 20. Okay, so I can kind of guarantee myself that I'm not going to make my money back here unless I do a great job of advertising. So there's a lot that goes into the four-walling. The four-walling is basically just, can I put my movie in your theater? And then you got to go through a lot of back and forth with the contracts, with signing things. So there's a lot that goes into it. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. Just to let you know, it's not a very simple process that just happens. You also have to decide what is the best time for your audience. My audience, I think, is going to be the over 50 group. I think that's the group that's interested in the kind of rom-com political thriller, I guess, that my movie is. I don't really even know what box my movie goes into, but I had to decide what's the best time. A lot of people told me that group doesn't want to go to the movie theaters at 6 or 7 because that's when the teenagers are out or the young adults with young kids, and they don't want that. They'd rather go at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. when nobody's there and they got the theater to themselves, because a lot of them are retired and they got that disposable income and they can do it at that time. So, I have to decide, when do I want to put the movie into the theater? And I rely a little bit on asking the movie theaters, hey, when's your best time? One of them told me, well, I'll tell you right now, the only time we're open is from 5 to 9. So you got to put it during that time frame. Okay, well, there you go. That helps narrow it down for me. I mean, what can you do? So going through and finding the indie theaters, it is a difficult process. So that's where I'm at right now. My goal now is to get it into as many theaters as I can. And I've got it into about 8 theaters, with a couple of them with additional show times, not just one show time. Hopefully, if it shows really well at the theaters, because my showings are from May 28th till about June 17th. So hopefully, if it does really well in those theaters, I may try and re-show it at some of those theaters if they sell out or do really well, or if I make money or at least break even or come close at some of those theaters. I will try and re-up it in the theaters and see if I can get more people back, especially if it gets great reviews and I've got a lot of people talking about it and there's some buzz. I'll try to re-up it in the theaters because I want to try and get a decent box office for the film so that I then can go back and say, okay, distributors, you all said no to me before. Now I want to get it onto a platform. We've got, 50 people reviewed it and said they all gave it 5 stars. Do I think my movie's going to get 5 stars from everyone? It depends how often my family votes. No, I don't think it's going to get 5 stars from everybody, but hopefully it gets good reviews. It gets some people talking. It gets reviews in general, good or bad. It just gets a lot of them. And then I can go to the distributors and say, look, at least people are talking about this. There's interest in it. I had so many theaters sold out or near capacity. Now what can we do? So I will update you guys at that point. I'll let you know how that goes, what ends up happening with it. And hopefully I'll have some good things to report there as far as how many tickets we sell and how it does in each city, that sort of thing. And then I'll let you know where we're going as far as distribution with it at that point. So that's where I am, beginning to end with the post principal photography. Hopefully that helps some of you to understand what I've gone through. Maybe some of you are going through the same stuff yourselves. Maybe you can give some advice. Hey, Dave, you did it wrong here. I would have done it differently there. And we can kind of move forward from there and help each other out, because distribution is a difficult process. And I think the more we can share with each other about it, the more we can kind of help each other so that we can all get better distribution, because it's really important. If we're going to grow the indie film industry, we really have to help each other to be profitable. I want to be in more films, and the only way I'm going to be in more films as an actor is if more productions are done. The only way I'm going to produce more films is if more people are coming here to produce films. And the only way you, whoever you are that is listening to me, are going to produce more films or crew for more films or act in more films is if we have more films getting done here. And the way that happens is if people make money on their films, or at least don't lose a fortune on them, because then we can afford to make the next one. So end of the day, let's all try and help each other to grow in this industry. All right, let's get to some acting tips. I like this one. I am sure most everyone knows this, but this one is a good reminder. Don't look for the camera. That one comes courtesy of Kevin Rigo, my business partner at K75 Stunt Academy. It's funny, we had a newspaper reporter here last week. They were taking photos of us as Kevin was putting everyone through their paces and running everyone around and having them do their push-ups and everything, because it's a great workout when Kevin is pushing you. But he noticed a couple of people turning to see where the newspaper photographer's lens was. And I'll admit, I did the same thing. Everybody does that. You see a newspaper reporter come in with a camera. What do? You kind of turn and you look at, is he taking a picture of me? Oh, I'm going to run extra hard now, or I'll do a couple extra push-ups or whatever. I'm not going to rest right now. I'll rest when Kevin's looking at me, but not when the camera's looking at me. So, that's human nature, right? But you are going to get in a lot of trouble if you are performing stunts and you're looking for the camera, just like in acting. If it's tough when you've got a camera on you and you're trying to focus on giving your best performance, but that camera just crosses your eyes even for a second. If as you're going by, you stop for a second and look at it, it's going to catch it on film. Try to be so aware of that. It's very difficult to have a camera in your face and you have to show great emotion. You have to stare into it. I was watching Blacklist today. I love that show. And James Spader, the way he stares into that camera, but you never feel like he's looking at the camera. You just feel like, man, the stare that guy has, the intensity of his look, it grips you. So be aware of that. Practice at home if you have to with a camera. Make sure you are not catching yourself looking at it. It's so painful when you see it on film. If someone in the background, if you notice that they're looking at the camera, it's painful. Do not get caught doing that. What have you done lately? Don't get caught up in this. I saw a great post from Bronson Taylor on Facebook the other day. I was talking about Bronson earlier in the podcast, and he had listed his huge list of accomplishments for, I think it was last year. So, of course, the Uncivil War, America Divided was not in that because it was 2023, not 2022. So I'll forgive you for that, Bronson. You should have just put that in there anyway, snuck it in there. But he put up this huge list of accomplishments, everything that he had worked on last year. And it's funny because he did it with this little inner monologue about how, what have you done lately? And I thought it was fantastic because it's so true. I don't know how many times I catch myself saying, oh God, man, I don't have anything lined up. I'm looking online. I'm seeing all these people. I'm like, oh my God, Lexi Baca, she's back on set again. Kylie's on set. Zach's on set. Cookie's doing another crew member position. She's doing scripty, or she's producing this, or she's doing that. Oh, what am I doing? And oh God, Kevin Rigo's doing stunts here and he's doing stunts there. I don't have an acting job. I've been looking for a job. And you get caught up in that and you forget, oh, you know what? I was on like 3 sets last month. And we forget if we don't constantly tell ourselves, hey, I've done a lot. That doesn't mean get complacent. It doesn't mean keep pushing yourself to get more jobs. It just means don't beat yourself up because you're going to get down if you do. You're going to be beating yourself up if all you're doing is saying, what's in front of me? I don't have anything this week coming up. If you don't have anything this week coming up, then reach out to someone you haven't talked to for a while. I know a lot of people that are really good about that. They'll reach out to me. Hey, Dave, just reaching out to say hi, but see also, what are you working on? I mean, don't be ridiculous about it. Hey, Dave, do you have something for me? I really want to get on a set. I'm not doing anything this week. What do you have? You must have something. Tell me what I can play this part. Do you have that for me? Be nice. Reach out to people, check in with them, see how they're doing. I just put up a post last week about, feeling that this industry can be tough. It can be lonely. It can be isolating. And a lot of people said, well, just reach out, Dave. No. I get that. I 100% hear you. I agree. Pick up the phone, text someone, call someone, schedule a lunch with somebody, do something. Let's go see a movie or something if you're not working this week. But it's tough. A lot of people responded and said, I get it. Once that set ends, if you've been on the set for a day, a week, a month, whatever, as soon as that ends, there's a big and you have to decompress a little bit, and you have to, okay, all my friends are gone. It was just a week-long nonstop party, and now it's Monday and I don't have anything this week. Well, that's because you've been working for a week straight. You might have taken some time away from finding your next job. A lot of the big time actors, they don't work every single week, at least not at acting or crew. They might be doing something else. Maybe the big time actors work for 3 weeks on a big set, and then they don't work for 6 more months as an actor because they're holding out, which kind of takes me into my next thing. They know their worth. And I get it. They're at a different point. A Daniel Roebuck or a Musetta Vander, they can wait and they can pick their roles and they can wait for the right amount of money to come in because they're not desperate, and they're doing other things in the meantime. They're editing, or they're singing, or doing voiceover or commercial work, or something outside the industry that they love. So I get it. They are in a different position. A lot of the actors in Florida were in a position where gotta work, gotta hunt to eat, that type thing. But you also have to get to a point where you know your worth. And it's very difficult to say, no, I can't work on this production for free. Or no, you're asking me to, normally I need $450 a day to work on set, and you're asking me to do it for $200. I can't do it. Now, the difficulty is, especially in Florida, that there are 1,000 people waiting behind you that will work for free. I understand that. It's a difficult process knowing when you have to say, I can't work for free anymore. I'm going to pass on the next 4 jobs that are offering me work for free, and I'm going to work as a bartender for 5 weeks and skip those 4 jobs. And then that next job, someone's going to know my worth and say, yes, we're going to pay you $450 a week or $450 a day, or, whatever it is. And then you say, you know what? Okay, I don't need $450 a day. I can do it for $350 a day, but that's as low as I'll go. Yes, we'll pay you that. Okay, all right, that's good. It's a difficult process. In the insurance world that I was in previously, my account managers, for the longest time, we never put a setup fee on a deal. And finally, someone came into our office and said, why aren't you guys putting setup fees? We'd rather get the deal, because then we'll get the monthly commission instead of just a one-time fee up front and lose the deal. And they said, okay, but everybody else out there is putting that setup fee and you're losing it. And so my account managers started knowing their worth, and they started putting the setup fee on there, and they started getting it. And it was just because they hadn't asked for it before. My son right now, it was trying to get out of an apartment lease, and we found someone to take the lease over, but there was a penalty that we had to pay for getting out of the lease. My wife asked the person, hey, will you split that fee with us because you're trying to get in, we're trying to get out? They said, yeah, sure. You don't ask, you don't get. I thought that was a great play by my wife. I wouldn't have even asked. I would have said, we owe the fee, we pay it. She asked, and I said, sure, we'll split it with you. Sweet. Same thing here. I think a lot of us, we get desperate. Now, I'm in a different situation because I don't really need the money, so it's easy for me to say I'll work for free. And I get that. A lot of people get angry at me because they say, yeah, but you're taking a paid position from someone else. I understand it. Everybody has to know their worth, their own worth. They have to know what they want, what they're willing to work for, and what they're willing to do. There are certain roles I'll work for free. Now there are certain roles that I've said I won't work for free anymore. I will not do PAing anymore for free. I probably wouldn't do a PA position if you paid me anymore. Just because that's, I don't want to say I'm above that position, but it gives you a different look in the world. People see you as a PA, they see you as a PA. They don't see you as the owner of a production company. I'm sorry, I'm the owner of a Sun Academy. I'm the owner of a production company. I'm the owner of 2 insurance companies. I'm not going to work for free as a PA anymore. Not that I don't want to help out. If I was on a set and someone said, hey, we have 4 PAs and 3 of them didn't show up today, I would kick in. I'd help out. I'd be part of the team. But I'm not going to go looking for a free PA job. That's just not where I'm at anymore. You have to know your position in the world and decide what do you want to do with it. Joe, how you doing, man? Good evening, sir. Hope you're doing well. So that's just my thoughts on learn your worth, know what you want to charge, what you're willing to work for, go out there and get it. Going back to the distribution thoughts. Here's something else. I love the idea of helping out the indie world. Pat, good morning, sir. See you tomorrow. I hope so. My pulled muscle, I'll say, those of you who know, is still bothering me. So we'll see. I plan on being there, though. Basketball in the morning, 6 a.m. Anyone wants to show up? Long Center, 6 a.m. Basketball. So, yeah, our Stun Academy, I was thinking about it. I am going to get a big old screen for the Academy. We are going to put up a big, huge screen on our wall, probably where we will also hang an amazingly awesome, huge flag from Joe, who's listening out there. I am going to put up a screen so that we can show premieres at the Academy. We're going to get a great projector, sound system, the whole deal. If you want to show shorts, if you want to show features, have people come in, bring their captain's chairs, bring your food, bring your drinks, non-alcoholic, and let's show some premieres in here. Indie filmmakers, reach out to me. I don't care if you released your film, 6 months ago or a year ago. Let's show some films. There'll be a small charge, obviously, but it's not going to be, over $2,200, which is, what I spent to do our premiere. It's not going to be in the thousands. We'll try and make it affordable because it won't necessarily be about us making money. It'll be about you guys showing your films and getting them out there, because the thing is, we want to see films. We want to see each other's films. We want to show them. We want people to say, wow, look at that amazing film. That was shot right here in Pinellas. So we want to help the indie community out there. As soon as we get that all, sorted out, I will let you know as soon as we have it. Hey, Pam, how you doing? All right, we got a couple of people chiming in now. Look what you started, Amanda. You got Joe, Pat, Pam in here. That's beautiful. So that was it. Now that Pam's listening, I can say goodnight to everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will be back here. I'm still planning on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. at the moment. One of these days, I'm going to switch to a Monday or a Wednesday just because when we have people in here training at the academy, sorry, Pam. When we have people training at the academy, then I want to be able to bring people in to say hi live on film and talk a little bit about what they're doing out there, how much fun they're having, swinging around swords and sticks and hitting each other and jumping over barriers and stuff because it's a lot of fun. And I want people to be able to talk about that. What else do I have before I let you all go tonight? I think that was it. So tune in next week. I am hopefully going to have Wasim on the show next week. I'm going to try and get that taped in advance because technical difficulties, trying to get him on live is very difficult. He is way, way, way over there down under in Australia. So we'll probably tape it since it seems like Facebook doesn't like that difference between countries. And hopefully we'll have that for you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Thank you all so much for tuning in and have a great night. See ya.